Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Doria Lanez Larrier, and I am the host of the Lott Carey Wise Digital Couch. Welcome this evening to our episode number 45. You are streaming and seeing this on our YouTube page and on our Lott Carey Wise Facebook page. And so if you are part of either of those platforms, please let us know in the comments. We are looking forward to having a fruitful conversation. But before we do that, let's have a who's who of who leads this amazing organization. So, on behalf of the Executive Secretary Treasurer, who is Reverend Emmett L. Dunn, our president, Dr. Jesse Williams, our first vice president, Dr. James Victor, and our second vice president, Dr. Robert C. Scott. And of the Lott Carey Wise, which is Women in Service Everywhere, our president is Reverend Dr. Brenda McBurrow. Our first vice president is Sister Lynette Richardson, and our second vice president is Minister Brenda Troy. The person who leads our Men on Missions is Brother Charles Monterio, and the person who leads our youth department is Reverend Brittany Mingo. Now, if you're like me, you have been waiting for this conversation for a very, very long time, and we are so grateful and honored to have our immediate past president, Reverend Dr. Gina Stewart, to join us on our digital couch today. So please join her and us. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. We are well. We are well. So before we get started, I want to enlist my stream team. If you don't know who the stream team is, the stream team are the people who are watching. And so I see there are about 10 people who are watching from YouTube. We have another like 15 watching from Facebook. So I need for you to do this is a roll call, right? This is a digital roll call. Please drop your name and the church that you represent. Please, of course, give honor and privilege to your pastor. So my pastor, I'm from Salem Missionary Baptist Church in Brooklyn, New York, and my pastor is Reverend Dr. James Arthur Thornton. So everyone do a roll call. And we're going to welcome, of course, our immediate past president, Dr. Gina Stewart, who is also the pastor of the one and only Christ Missionary Baptist Church in Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis, Tennessee. That's right.
Excellent, excellent. So we're going to here we go. So we got some people. All right, we have from Durham, North Carolina. Okay, Sister Charlene, thank you. Sister Vernell, I knew I was going to see you from Chesapeake, a Third Baptist Church in Chesapeake. Wonderful. And I know there's many other people, and so I will do the best I can to field all those people. So Dr. Stewart, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation. It took forever, but better late than never, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So listen, I know that once those shoes stepped off that platform, you literally were running to a number of other seats to sit in and to reflect and to relish in all of the great work that you did during your tenure. And so that's the focus of the conversation. You are the last episode in Testimonies and Thanksgivings. And even though I really want to do in September, I really think it's just a great way to end our series. So part of the floor is yours. I'm going to lead you with your first question. Just to say, how was it? I don't think that's even good enough. What I really would love to know is from the moment that you stepped into that seat and sat in that seat and stepped behind that podium, what's the most impactful goal that you set that you achieved? And then we'll work from there.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you, Sister Doriel, for this invitation, and thank you for your patience in scheduling this. I know we've had several false starts, but you and Dr. Clifton and Dr. McBurrow were very relentless, and so I appreciate your patience. And let me say good evening to everyone who's joined us, whether on your various virtual platforms, and happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays, or whatever your preferred greeting is. It's good to be here. But to answer your first question, as you recall, one of the things, my mantra when I came into the office as president was millions for missions. That was a vision that God gave me actually when I initially became an officer. when I was installed as the second vice president, that theme was, I internalized that theme as a theme for my presidency. And so I had 6 years to sort of mull over it and meditate over it and think about it, and really to gain the courage to challenge the convention, to see that we were capable of raising $1 million. And of course, one of my desires was that we would raise it on President's Night. And of course, the Lord answered that prayer. It actually happened before President's Night because of the generosity of Dr. Howard John Wesley and the Alfred Street Baptist Church in Alexandria, Virginia. They, as you know, you were there, you witnessed it with your own eyes. They gave us a check for $1 million that night, to support the work, support, and to actually begin a new project. So the other blessing about raising the million dollars was not just the fact that God answered the prayer about the $1 million, but also it allowed Lott Carey, it broadened our impact, because Ghana is a place where we had not previously had any projects. And so that gift of $1 million is going to go to support enslaved girls in Ghana, young girls who have been sold into slavery, and it's going to work toward leading them to a life of independence and sustainability. And so that was one of the blessings. And then um, Compassion International on President's Night presented us with a check for $300,000 toward the building of the David Emmanuel Goatley School in Liberia. And as you know, that school, the total cost for that school is about $450,000. So with that $300,000 gift, we are well over halfway to almost paying for that school. And so those kinds of gifts, that kind of support, was just such an inspiration. And to really, pray about something and believe that something is possible, and then see it actually come to pass. It's overwhelming. It was overwhelming. And those are just two. There were others who supported us. Um, as you know, Dr. Dr. Micah McCreary, and his institution. And I cannot even think of the name of the institution at this particular time, but it's in New
Right.
Jersey.
New Brunswick Theological
New Brunswick, yeah.
Seminary.
New
Shout
Brunswick
out to Dr.
Theological.
Michael McCreary.
Shout
This is
out to
for you.
Dr. Micah McCreary. He was so inspired by the gift from, and all of these names are escaping me tonight. We received a gift of $90,000 from the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship. That's who it is. Cooperative Baptist Fellowship gave us $90,000 over 3 years. We were at the spring conference, and Reverend Casey Jones came and made the presentation. Dr. Micah McCreary was in the audience. He was so inspired, he decided to match the gift and give Lott Carey $10,000 over the next 9 years. So it was those kinds of partnerships, new partnerships that had been nurtured, that really saw the work, saw what we were trying to do through Lott Carey, and who believed in it and invested in the work of ministry, that just really um, gave me a sense of satisfaction, because I came into this role with certain presidential goals and aspirations. And one of those was to increase our revenue for Lott Carey, because I've traveled and I've seen the tremendous work that our international partners do, and they do it on a shoestring budget. And of course, Lott Carey does not support their entire budget, but I wanted us to increase our revenue so that we could increase our gifts or our support to our international partners. And then I'll add one other thing. Um, I invited some of the local pastors from Memphis to serve as co-chairs, and I gave them a charge of raising $50,000, $5,000, about 10 of us. And we were instructed to raise about $50,000 so that we could really respond to some of the wish lists that some of our partners had. And so we were able to do that as well. We raised that money, as well. So there were a number of things that I started out with a desire to do in terms of presidential priorities, increasing our revenue, enlarging our ecumenical footprint, re-engaging young adults or emerging generations, and we were able to do that. That's well on the way. Reverend Trevor Buford is acting as the liaison and working with that group. And then, of course, I wanted to ensure that we would build some type of a pipeline so that we would Lott Carey would have a future. And so we were able to establish Lott Carey student chapters on HBCU campuses. And if you, of course, you were at the convention, so you saw a couple of the students, one from Shaw University and another one from Wiley College. Howard University has also agreed to sign on to this. And so, again, all of these were presidential priorities that I had going into my tenure. And for the most part, even though it will be up to Dr. Williams to facilitate the student chapters as well as the emerging generations, that will be an ongoing kind of project. But I was glad that we were able to initiate it prior to the end of my tenure.
I think that is extremely, extremely beneficial because we're talking about the legacy that we're trying to continue, right?
Right.
A little 10-second backstory. When I came back after like raising my children to at least teenagehood, and I came back about 2012, the last time we were in New Orleans. So about 2011, 2012. And I came back and I
Mm-hmm.
said, wow, I was looking for people in my age group. And I remember whatever night that was, and someone said, hey, if you're a part of like this generation, let's say baby boomers or whatever, and people stood up and they said Generation X or this age group. And literally it wasn't President's Night, but clearly it may have been like the first night. So like everyone was there. And out of, let's say there was 800 people in the room, I could count the number of people that stood up in my age group.
Right. Right.
Maybe there was 12 to 14. And I
Right.
said, oh my goodness, what's going on? So,
Right.
right. So over the past couple of years, there's definitely been a concerted effort to establish a track, right? To nurture the next generation so that we can
Right.
do what we can to continue this work in that light. And I know it's probably not going to even be seen, but no, I can't show it. There is a book, and it is the Women's Auxiliary, the 100 Years of Service. It is a journal that was established and created. And so I got it off of somebody's prize shelf. I know she's watching. So Sister Antoinette, I have the book still in the Ziploc bag. It's okay, right? Because it's just,
You better
oh,
take care of it. You better take care of
I
it.
know. So we're coming up to the 125th year, which will be next year. And so Dr. McBorough is working on, yes, Dr. McBorough, I'm shouting you out, is having a concerted effort to make sure that the women in service everywhere. And thankfully, those people who still are dressing in Black, so Dr. Stewart and I are both dressed in Black with our pearls because it's Thursdays in Black. We try to make sure that there's awareness constantly about gender violence awareness and the dissemination of it. And so we're trying to create how we're going to pass this on to the next generation. So thankful to all the leadership on the convention level, and then for women in service everywhere, where we're trying to make sure that we're reaching back, right? We're pulling up the next generation. And so you have definitely been a part of that effort.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, Dr.
And
McBrow, you're welcome to shout out. I see you.
and
um,
can I also add, Sister Doriel, that women in service everywhere, Dr. Angelita Clifton and Dr. McBorough,
yes.
were tremendous support in terms of fundraising. I mean, I don't even know how much they collect, uh, what their total amount was that they raised, but I know they broke some significant barriers with the Jumping for Justice and all of the giving circles. All of that was a part of, the gift that Dr. Howard John Wesley and Alfred Street gave was $1 million. But collectively, the collective generosity of churches and pastors and individuals, even the I Am Lott Carey initiative, which was really an idea that we rolled out at the spring conference, even the I Am Lott Carey initiative that Reverend Emmett Dunn and I sort of worked together on. All of those contributions, that collective generosity has made a difference in empowering us to respond to the needs of our partners so that they can continue to provide the services that they provide, whether it's education or healthcare or women's empowerment or education, and living out the gospel in practical ways. So this was definitely a collective effort. And I just want to pause and give a shout out to the women in service everywhere, and thank God for the leadership of Dr. Angelita Clifton and Dr. Brenda McBorough, and as well as my
Sister
my
Lynette Richardson.
sister. Yeah, because she was one of the first persons in New Orleans who believed in my vision. She was raising the offering that night. I don't know if you remember this. She was raising the offering that night, and she talked about the president wants to raise millions for missions. And she said, I had a conversation with my husband, and he told me it was all right. And she gave a check for $5,000 that night. Her personal investment
Excellent.
was such an inspiration. Even in New Orleans, we were coming out of the pandemic. That was the first year we met, but I'll never forget Sister Richardson and Reverend Richardson. Is he a minister?
That I don't know.
I think he is a pastor. Well, I'm making him a pastor tonight. I'll never forget.
You have been knighted. You've been pastored.
So many others, colleagues across this country that I would go to preach for, and I'd get to the church thinking I'm going to preach, and they'd hand me a check for $5,000 for Lott Carey, or $10,000 for Lott Carey, or or when there was some kind of disaster that happened across the country, Dr. Alan Waller would call even before we had a chance to call. Bishop Walter Thomas. Just the generosity was just overwhelming, and I just thank God for good friends and for the network of churches and persons who are part of the Lott Carey family. As Reverend Dunn often says, we do good work, and we have good people helping us to do good work.
Excellent. Thank you. And if you have these other, streams of consciousness, it's perfectly fine, because this, the protocol that we know to call, sometimes people get left off the call, right? So we just forget, not charge it to the head, not to the heart, right? Please do.
And I am just, I don't know why I'm having these mental blocks tonight, but okay. At any rate,
we'll help you.
Yeah. Yes,
we'll help you. So I definitely want to. So if someone actually does know if Sister Lynette Richardson's husband,
he is a pastor. Someone says pastor. Yeah.
Ralph Richardson. Thank you. So sorry,
yes.
I didn't know that. Pardon me, forgive me.
Yeah. I thought I remembered he was a pastor. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So actually,
I will never forget that. Never forget that.
Good. This is like a I guess by the moment kind of conversation, so folks, just so that, we actually do set out to like talk about a couple of things, but then other things come in the way, and it's okay, because we have her right here with us. So we're going to roll like this, right?
That's right.
Actually today I saw, so you just mentioned Pastor Waller. I believe he and some of the members of Enon are in South Africa, I believe, doing some refurbishing to a men's home, or a place where men are coming to, let's say go through, let's say
transitional housing or something.
Yeah, right. I didn't want to say if it wasn't, but it does seem like it's a structure that men will come to stay in order to sort of get back on their feet. From what I don't know, but literally he's there now doing that work. And so that is part of, if it's not directly connected, but it is connected, because of course it is mission work, that a number of us within our own cocoons, I'm going to use that analogy, are starting to break out of those cocoons and reach across the aisles. And so I want to come back to the statement about how Lott Carey and your leadership and the leadership of those who stepped before you, plus the leadership who is here now, and women in service everywhere, have done a great job at doing the mentoring. So I know during your tenure, during this 3-year term, underneath your tenure is the work that has been done within Women in Service Everywhere, of not just the trauma informed ministry work, or the literary book circles, or the master classes, or the foci on like women of like Tamar, and other women who we don't necessarily talk about, but then to take that information and to transfer it so that the story gets told. And so even in this book, which is again the 100th, I'm sorry, there we go, 100th anniversary journal, it has all of these amazing women who, if anybody has a journal, please shout out if you have the journal, because it's definitely a prized possession. But as we move into the 125th year next year for for the Women's Auxiliary, which is now Women in Service Everywhere, the concept of how we're going to take the stories and the work of these elder women, and some of whom, thank God, are still with us, and then transfer it to the younger generation so that Lott Carey still exists and thrives in the next 10, 20, 30 years, is the work that definitely you have stood literally at the forefront, literally at the helm of expanding, breaking out of the cocoon of what missional leadership looks like at a variety of levels. Right? Now, we don't have to go through the shocking stuff that happened during this year, but we will say that as a result of you standing firm and standing up and being like Claudia, hint, hint, that's how far we're going to go with that. You have broken us out of a cocoon of, yes, you too can lead. Yes, you too can be heard. Yes, you too can be a voice for the voiceless. Yes, you too can come from the back, from the side, put down the cake plate,
Right.
and stand in front and say something that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that, Lott Carey is to be commended for its intentionality to be inclusive in terms of a woman in senior leadership in a convention. As we know, Lott Carey is not a quote unquote denominational convention, but it is a national convention. And Lott Carey has led the way in elevating a woman to its highest office, which is president of the convention. Lott Carey also, I think, models something that could really be emulated, and that is the seamless transfer of power. You don't hear the every convention has some level of politics, but I think in a very real sense, what Lott Carey models in terms of the way um, there's this seamless transfer of power, the slate of officers, the pipeline, the support. I think that Lott Carey is to be commended for giving or providing a space, I should say, for women to lead. I think that in itself speaks volumes. That when an organization that has historically been known as a male-dominated space takes that extra step, whenever that happens, to some degree, is historic. We know it's not the first time that women are doing these kinds of things, just like pastoring. Um, there are a number of firsts now. And we hope that the day will come that it won't even be an anomaly. But whenever someone decides to break with the tradition, step outside of the tradition, and take that step and act in ways that are egalitarian, that support the fact that women have indeed been gifted and graced with gifts for leadership, and act on that, I think is quite significant. In fact, Reverend Dunn shared an article with us. We were at the spring conference at Fountain Baptist Church. We were at a board meeting, and Reverend Dunn shared an article with us from years ago, many years ago, when Lott Carey, one of the leaders of Lott Carey, said that women shouldn't be in leadership. And women, I don't remember them saying anything about a woman would never lead. I've got to get Reverend Dunn to give me a copy of that article. And I thought, wow, that's a major evolution to see in print that someone who was once in leadership of this same convention, I said, I wonder what he would say now, knowing the position that that particular person had. years ago. It was probably back in the 1800s or something, early 1900s. But their position was very anti-woman. And now here we are in the 2000, from 2021 to 2024, a woman has led the organization. So I think whenever women see women in these kinds of roles that have been typically restricted to women, or where we've never necessarily seen a woman, it says to women, yeah, women really can do this. They can do this. And it also says something to children. It helps to normalize um, egalitarian leadership. For example, I'm coming up on my 30th year as pastor at my church. It will be 30 years by the grace of God. The Lord let me live. As my grandmother used to say, if I live and nothing happened, it'll be 30 years on March 4th. There are children in our congregation and in many others, because I'm not the only one female woman who's pastored the church that has been blessed to pastor through a generation. There are children that grew up in my church. They've never, ever sat under a male leader. All they know is a female. All they know is a woman pastor. And my hope is that as more and more doors open, because certainly I don't want the door to close behind me. I hope that this will just be the beginning, and that there will be other women in leadership of this convention, that this won't just be a one-time situation, or a moment in the history of Lott Carey. But I think that what it says to women, to younger women, to children, to others, is that women are capable and that we are competent, not only to minister, but we're also competent and well equipped to lead. In fact, we lead everywhere else. Women lead in boardrooms, they lead in corporations, they lead in major spaces. But we also know that we have a ways to go. But I'm grateful to Lott Carey and thankful to Dr. David Goatley for his mentorship. Because when I came to Lott Carey, I was just fulfilling a covenant to the Pastoral Excellence Program. They asked us, when we completed the Pastoral Excellence Program, to come to the convention every year. We signed a covenant. And all I have is my word. So I was honoring my word. But when I came to the convention, my heart was captured by the work. And then having traveled in those multiple immersion experiences, and to see the work that our international partners were doing, was transformative. It was just transformative. Some would say it was radicalizing. I don't know if radicalizing, but it was transformative. And I was sold on Lott Carey. So if I never had become president or served on the board or anything else, Lott Carey would always have my support, because I believe in the work that Lott Carey is doing.
And we, of course, believe and continue to believe in your leadership. And so the fact that you said, there's a generation, right? You'll be in that seat for just shy of 30 years in the next couple of
Yes.
days.
Yeah.
The fact that there's an entire generation, maybe a generation or two, right? If you think of a generation as being 20 some odd years,
Right. Yeah.
right, of young girls and young boys
Mm-hmm.
seeing and only sitting under the voice, the tenderness, and not saying that that's meek or weak, but the tenderness. They're looking at an embodiment of the Jesus that we know through the voice of a woman.
Right.
And through the eyes of a woman.
Yes.
And that is transformative, right?
Yes, indeed it is. I mean, I've had members who've said, they go off to college. And of course, when they go off to college, I always tell them, find a church. And some of them have sent me messages back and said, Pastor, it's funny. I've never been under a man before. I just laugh.
Wow.
Because that's all they know. That's all they know.
Mhm.
And so it's not an anomaly for some of them. And that's my prayer, that the day will come with it where it won't be a big deal. It's right to celebrate it. But I pray that the day will come where it won't be a big deal that a woman is leading a church or leading a convention, because it has become normal and not something that is just historic or historic.
Right, right. And that's definitely part and parcel to our conversation tonight of testimonies and Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Thankful for the fact that someone years ago, and if I'm sure you do remember, who was that person that said, go get her. Go get her. Let's put her in the pipeline, because I'm all about the pipeline. So when you say there are children who only know you, and so they know that it is possible and probable to lead,
Mm-hmm.
there are more us's, and I'm gonna say an us, who are like, you can't. Oh, yes, you can, because Dr. Stewart did it.
Right. Because they
And
see
oh,
it.
yes, you can, because Renita Weems did it.
Right.
You can't. Oh, yes, you can, because so and so. We now have more words. And so I just want, or not more words, but more women's experiences. So I'd like to take you
Yes.
back about a year ago when we had a conversation within Women in Service Everywhere about the mentoring piece. I was at the
Mm-hmm.
last convention, not 24, but 2023. And there was
Right.
a beautiful panel with, oh my goodness, I'm looking at her.
Dr. Danielle Brown.
Thank you, Daniel, right?
Uh-huh.
Dr. Danielle Brown, right? I was like, oh, okay. Dr. Danielle Brown. And there were a couple of other sisters who were up there. But there was a specific conversation at like a round table that we had. And it was about like passing the torch, right? And having that mentorship work. Now, literally, you have done this for a minute, right? For a minute. And you are, and it's just, for the most part, it's because your name is literally coming up in, let's say, more searches, right? Or according to the algorithm. And so you're at your Dr. Stu is part of, if y'all don't know Dr. Stu is part of the algorithm, just type in GINA and a space and watch how quickly she trends. Some of you know, for many different reasons. But part of why you're trending, I'll talk social media talk, is because you've been, of course, in a number of different rooms. And so uh Dr. Pastor Hale, right? Am I saying
Right.
it right? Right.
Yeah.
So you do work
Uh-huh.
with her in Georgia, and there's just so many other places that you're in. You're giving more opportunities, again, testimony, that we can get into these huddled spaces. We can pat each other on the back. We can say, yes, you can. And there's more of us now. So within the realm of passing the torch, of course, you're widening the gates. You're allowing
Mm-hmm.
more people, more women, particularly, because this is Women in Service Everywhere,
Right.
the opportunity to say also in terms of mission work, because I'm part of the generation that when the television went off at 1 o'clock in the morning, right? It's a little fuzzy screen.
Yeah.
The last thing that I remember seeing is the stereotypical someone who does not look like us sitting with our cousins and aunties and them sitting across in another continent with the
Mm-hmm.
flies in the eyes. And that's all that I remember about
Mm-hmm.
mission work. And so as
Right.
I grew up, I thought, well, are they the only ones that can go? And so
Mm.
then as I also grew up within Lott Carey, I knew that there were two groups of people, those that go and those that send.
Mm-hmm.
When it came time that my particular church was part of the group that went from the sending to the going, I literally got on that plane and said, wait, I can really go? Not just as Black people, but now as Black women, that
Right.
we can go and say to the other women there, like the sister who's from Haiti. Oh, what's her name?
Miss Lynn. Is it
Yes,
Miss
Lynn
Lynn?
Joseph. There we go, Lynn
Yeah.
Joseph. Right? She
Uh-huh.
tells a story of like, oh my goodness, when I saw the Black man coming, I was like, oh, this is
Right.
amazing, right? But
Yeah.
now that they can also see women coming
Yeah.
to do that work, I think
Right.
that's another powerful example of we are literally, and you're part of the group that is leading the way, bringing us younger people along with you to say, yes, you can lead. Yes, you can orchestrate. Yes, you can congregate. Yes, you can minister. Yes, you can paint some walls. Yes, you can put up some walls. Yes, you can dig some wells. And we're thankful for that.
Yes.
That is part of our testimony.
Indeed.
And
Indeed.
so
Yes.
I have one more question. But if there are questions or comments
I
from,
I do want to mention too, while you're
yes,
doing that, Sister Doriel, that wise women in service everywhere raised $170,000.
There we go.
Yeah,
I was actually
almost
looking for that comment.
$100,000. Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. So let me just pop that in. You'll hear me typing. Sorry. 170, comma. It'll pop up. Good. Thank you. $170,000. Thank you so much for whoever typed that in. I appreciate you. And that's a feat. That's a feat. So yes. So shout out to Dr. Clifton with the Jumping for Justice. And I literally on Thursdays, I wear my Double Dutch shirt. You know, I brought Double Dutch back to my school. Some people saw that. And these kids who
I saw the video. I saw the live streams.
Yes. Those people sitting who've never gone outside to play and jump Double Dutch. Here it is. All the other Black women in my school, they were just like, wait, we jumping Double Dutch for these kids? They didn't even know how to turn a rope. And then these kids who had been, again, sitting under, I say Rona, never been outside. They were like, first of all, why are these old people with this rope? And then when they saw what we could do, go sit down somewhere. Let's learn something. But I also gently tried to bring it to say, but this is why we're doing it. Now, because I'm an educator, all I could do is say, we want to keep girls safe.
Right. Exactly.
That's all I could do. But at least now the girls are saying, oh, she's wearing black again. She's trying to keep us safe. Are we playing Double Dutch today, Miss Laria? Okay. Trying to get, if we can talk about some other issues that I actually think is a little too young to have these conversations, then we can talk about keeping girls safe.
Right. That's exactly right.
Keeping girls safe. So
well, we praise God for the commitment of WISE to that ending of sex trafficking and the commitment to keeping girls safe. The work was definitely life-changing and transformative.
We appreciate it. So we do have a couple of thank you. So thank you, Dr. McBurrow. Keeping girls safe. Again, that's just the most tactful way I could put it. Keeping girls safe. Right. That's PC for those involved. So as we're just going to wrap up, so we've talked about, let's say, Lott Carey in the past, let's say maybe prior to your tenure, Lott Carey in the most recent present, and the beautiful testimonies and Thanksgivings that you've had during your tenure up into literally President's Night, when, as I said prior to us coming on, you got money in one hand, and then like 2 seconds later, you literally just gave it away.
Right.
Which was literally a transfer of finances in the giving, and then in the getting, and then in the giving. And I thought that was just, I may have actually did like a little video of it. So if you remember, there was I think it was Dr. Brenda Harewood.
Yeah.
That was one of the examples. And then the other example was the man from, I think it's Nigeria, with the
he wanted a van.
Vans. Right. And I believe like as soon as you got that money, some of the money, Sister Brenda or Dr. Brenda Harewood, she had just given the presentation about the irrigation system.
Right.
And it almost felt like the Price is Right, because as soon as she made the presentation, you have the benefactor, like the big gift. And then you said, Dr. Harewood, didn't you need some money? Do you remember that moment?
Right. Yeah, I sure do. Yeah, there were several. I was trying to go back through my phone. Oh yeah, it was Jamaica. Jamaica wanted appliances for skills training program. Nigeria wanted a bus. Zimbabwe wanted technology support, computers for technology support. South Africa needed a tractor. Ethiopia wanted support for personal needs or for female students, and Guyana needed an irrigation system.
Right.
Yeah.
And it literally, if y'all weren't there, I don't know, somebody has a video of something. Just go back in the annals, of us, all of us trying to videotape this thing. But literally, it was, she just said, well, come on down. Like you got an irrigation system, you got a bus, you got the personal needs. And that, to me, that's a really, really big, huge set. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it was comical, but it was like, it was tear jerking. It was definitely a tear jerker to see literally the prayers were answered at the moment that they were actually shared. So,
Right. Yeah. And our partners are just remarkable. As I said before, they do such incredible work. And there's nothing like going to see for yourself. We we took a journey, a trip in November of last year to Liberia and to Ghana.
mhm,
And there were, I guess, maybe about 20 of us. The Richardsons were with us on that trip as well. And it was just life changing to see the work, to see the school, to see how Reverend Sam Peel is
mhm.
leading that school, and to hear the testimony, to see the clinics, and to see all of the great work that is being done just in that location. Of course, we have projects in about 10 countries, well, now probably 11, I guess we would say, now that we have Ghana, but our footprint is in about 27 countries. So
Mhm.
when you think about the amount of money that Lott Carey raises, the annual budget for Lott Carey is really not that large. But Lott Carey does mega ministry with a mini budget. And that's one of the reasons, again, why I was not ashamed to say, let's raise millions for missions, because I knew that it would go toward a good cause.
And that it does. And so I cannot leave this call, and the two of us cannot leave this call without impressing upon the hearts and minds of all who are listening. And if prayerfully you will share this video with other people who are maybe that you work with, or people who are in your church who have not gone on a mission trip, or really knows the inner workings of what Lott Carey does. And that, number one, is if you haven't been to a convention, come on to a convention,
Come
come
to
see.
a convention. That's right.
But
That's right.
not but, it's but and. It's right, but and go and get on a plane. Go see. If you send, if your body and your mind, because some people just they can't get on a plane, and I get that. If you can, go. Go to, and if I step on toes right now, I'm okay. I'm okay. The money that we spend on a vacation, great. I got it. Do that. Your life will not be the same
That's right. That's right.
when.
Vice President Richardson said that trip was transformative for us.
Yep.
There's really nothing that can compare to seeing it with your own eyes. Nothing. I
Right.
mean, and I certainly don't, criticize people that cannot go, because circumstances may dictate that people can't travel. So some people can go, some people can give but can't go, some people can go but can't give, and then some people can do both. It takes all of it for the mission to be fulfilled and accomplished. But if you
Mhm.
can go, um, don't, as the preachers say, don't go to heaven. Don't go to heaven before you go on a mission trip. And of course,
I
I
like
need
that.
to say, too, Sister Doria, one of the things that impacted missions trips over the past several years was COVID. So, COVID slowed down a lot of that. But I think the men have even gone on some mission trips as well. The men on mission have a strong commitment to doing
Yeah.
missions, and they may have traveled even when we were well, as we were coming out of the pandemic. I think they took a trip or two. But if you can, do not go to heaven before you before you go to do a mission trip. And by all means, if you want to go with someone who has capacity and who has the experience, where you don't have to worry, you feel safe, like Carrie has that experience, and they have that credibility. So even if you want to plan a trip, I'm sure that Reverend Dunn would be more than happy to work with your church or work with your organization to help you plan a pilgrimage or some type of immersion experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just to be a part of, and I'll go back to my little example, to go from watching missions being done by other people and then to actually go, and then you have to hop out. Oh,
Go ahead.
and then to actually go and step off of the plane to another country is one thing, but to a place that you then see what you've seen on television and you see it up close. Some people go, like I did a couple months ago, will go to the place and say, I've only seen this on television.
Right.
I've only seen this in the magazines. I've only seen this like on Time Magazine or CNN, but now I'm in the middle of it. And to an extent, it will dispel some myths that you have been raised with.
That's exactly right.
On the other hand, it will reinforce, and you have like a mind shift. I can't say it any other way, where you're like, wait, this really is happening in 2022, 2023, 2020. Wait, people really live like this?
Right.
Right. You will not go home the same. You will not. You'll turn on the water less. You will throw food away less. You will eat what is in your cabinet before you overstock. You will really check. Do you really need that 5 new pair of shoes? Like, you will really check how you live, because you know that people who are literally connected to you by just a couple of degrees of consanguinity.
Yeah, right.
Are living for a year of what you may make in a month.
That's a great observation, because, for example, at the school in Liberia, I don't know if the tuition is the same now, but you could literally finance a student's education for like $300 a year. Now, it has probably gone up. Inflation, that was last year. And so inflation has probably affected a lot of that. But what we spend on a pair of shoes, sometimes some of us spend on a pair of shoes, you could actually pay for a student's tuition. And the other thing about education, and I know this to be true in Liberia and probably in other places as well, and that is that even though their education is considered public, if education is not paid for, they would not really have an opportunity to go to school. Without that school that's in Liberia, many of those students would not get the education that they're getting. So it's so, and it doesn't take a whole lot to help.
Right. I know
the difference in the cost is just, the gap is so broad and so wide.
Right. And so you're actually not far from the, let's say, $300. I know my church personally, shout out to Salem Missionary Baptist Church, one of our missionaries.
And your pastor.
Right. Yes. Reverend Thornton, I know you're watching.
Listen, he was on my team. I was his team leader when we traveled. He took care of me too.
Yes. All right.
Because, I carry a lot of bags. I have a reputation for taking lots of bags. And your pastor always made sure that my bags got to my destination.
There we go. He would check the boxes
and make sure. And your pastor have been great supporters of Lott Carey.
Yes. We have a really good history, a good track record of supporting. And what's that? I lose my thought. That's all right. It doesn't matter. Oh, so I know. So a number of our missionary circles within my church, we have actually sponsored a number of young people, males and females, to attend school for the year. And so for us,
right.
Yes,
so
for us to say, okay,
it's very minimal.
Right. $300 for a student. We've done that for a number of years. We participated in, a number of people Lott Carey, like the t-shirt dresses, pillowcase dresses. Whenever we go, we'll bring the standard barrel or whatever, but of course we bring it in suitcases of medical supplies and, clothing. It's just, so the work that is done can be done. It's not like you need $1,000 or some people, and I'm going to mention one person who's being mentioned in the chat, whether it's just the prayer, because again, if your body isn't able to go, but of course you can pray. There are a number of, and I'll speak about college or people who may not necessarily, let's say, be able to go, but there are letters that can be sent. Now that we're in social media, you can support people by sharing the work. It takes the press of a button to forward like a video like this or something that Lott Carey is doing to again, the algorithms to all of the people in your email list or in through a text to your family members. We're coming up. This is the end of the year. We just had Giving Tuesday, so that was Tuesday. If Lott Carey was on your list, God bless you and thank you very much. As you are preparing for the next part of your life, pick up what I'm putting down, and you want to gift or bestow or bequeath, whatever that legal term is, some
Right.
of your estate to Lott Carey, you can do that,
Right.
right? Have it as a part of whatever your desires are. Make sure that some of it goes to Lott Carey. I'm not saying that it shouldn't go to your church because I'll get in trouble for that. But as we're giving to NGOs and not-for-profits, Lott Carey is one of them. So I want to
That's
bring
right.
this up because this name shall have to be mentioned right here. And that is
Oh yeah, Mother Mary Hall. Yeah. I
Sister
heard
Vernon said
she went home to be with God.
she is now an ancestor. And so,
I would so look forward to seeing her at the convention.
yes, yes. And
I still
so
have that picture too.
there we
I
go.
still have that picture.
There we
God
go.
bless
So
her soul.
I
God
definitely
bless.
wanted to make sure that her name was called on this
That's exactly right.
episode. She again
Yes,
just went
indeed.
home to be with the Lord, and just a blessing to all of us. So I'm gonna sort of wind this down with just calling up a couple of the people who sent a little message to say hey. Sister Charlene Johnson, Orange Grove Missionary
Oh
Baptist
yeah.
Church.
And let me just tell you the story about Dr. Herbert Dickerson in
Okay.
Orange Grove. Dr. Dickerson was one of the first pastors when I talked about that $1 million who called
Mm-hmm.
me and said, I want to challenge my church to give $25,000 to Lott Carey. And they did it. And he was a tremendous supporter throughout there are so many pastors. Every time I see a name, I pretty much have a story to tell because the kindness and the support was just overwhelming. It was just overwhelming. And I've said this before um, in a convention setting, but I'll say it again. And one of the things that some people suggested or tried to predict was that with support would be withdrawn because Lott Carey had chosen to elevate a woman to
Yeah.
leadership as a president. But just the opposite happened.
You
The
showed them.
While there may have been some who did, withdraw their support,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, the support of those who stayed and those who believed in what we were trying to do was just so overwhelming that I can't say we didn't feel it or that we didn't miss it, but what people predicted did not really happen because the support of pastors across this country and colleagues as well was just overwhelming. In fact, Bishop Walter Thomas still calls me. He says, "Now I'm used to calling you, but I know you're not the president anymore, but I want to give some money away." I said, "Listen, we take money all day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I let the president know."
I love it. I love it. So I
But
think
I
this
just
is
appreciate the fact that he's still committed to Lott
that's
Carey, even though my tenure has ended. So those are the kinds of stories that really do call
testimony.
for Thanksgiving.
Excellent.
God is
Excellent. So
good.
I
Yes.
think one can look at it this way: when one pocket closes, another pocketbook opens.
Yes. Or as they say, when a door shuts, God opens a window. So God
Or a
opens some
chimney
windows.
or a cellar.
And God is still opening windows. In fact, Dr. Jesse Williams, who is now the president, just held his installation and they raised well
I
over
was there.
$100,000. So the beat goes on, and we celebrate all the great things that God is doing for Lott Carey.
I love it. I love it. All right, let me just shout out these other people who popped in.
Okay.
So Third Baptist Church, Portsmouth, Virginia. Thank you, Marion Willis. Uh, thank you, Dr. Brenda
Hey,
McBarrow.
Dr. McBarrow.
She's in here. I cannot have this conversation without saying, "Hey, Mama.
Hey, Phyllis.
Hey, Mama." That's my
Larrier.
mama. That's my mom.
Oh, that's your mother. Hey, mother.
That's my mom. She has her picture with you, and and I told you her other friend.
Right,
She's happy.
right, exactly.
Sister Charlene Johnson, beautiful. Let's see. Oh, so this is my other sister, Angela Graham, who's also
All
part of
right.
Salem. And I'm
Hey,
telling you
Angela.
publicly, National Council of Negro Women is in support of you.
All
So we
right,
both
and
represent.
we got a shout out, Reverend Siobhan Arline Bradley,
That's right. That's right. And
my
today's our
daughter,
Founders Day. I just had to slide that in there.
my
NCNW.
soror.
That's right. And Sister Angela Graham is your soror as
All
well.
right.
There we go. Oh gosh, I love it. I love it. Okay, so this is Dr. You're right, talking about Pastor Richardson. Excellent. We got that. Let's see. I did that. All right. So that was a shout out. I'm trying to do like the ones. Yes. So this may have to be one of our new little taglines, keeping girls safe.
Yeah.
Officially December 5th, we're adding that as our tagline. Beautiful.
Listen, keeping girls and women safe, because we're a nonpartisan organization, but it goes without saying that we are going into a season that we really don't know what's going to happen, and things are probably going to be challenging for women and girls. So keeping girls and women safe wouldn't be a bad tagline.
That's right. Okay, you've heard it here. She said it. We'll do it. Yes. So, Lott Carey 2025
In
experience.
Philadelphia,
Right.
the
Come
Enon
on
capital.
north. Come on north.
Yes.
Come on north. Okay. So, Sister Charlene Johnson, we're gonna listen. We'll help you out. We'll help you out. You want to do a mission trip? We got a number of them. We'll help you. And here we go. Sister Lynette Richardson, thank you. So Liberia 360 was a thing a few years ago in the Tidewater area, supporting a student for year 360. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Just mind-boggling. Oh, wow. So we charge $700 a month at our church school. So $360 for a year.
For a year.
Right.
Yeah.
It's doable. It's doable. So this is a thank you. Yes, Dr. Brenda McBurrow.
Hey,
I
Dr.
appreciate
McBurrow.
it. Excellent.
I'm
All right.
honored by the invitation. Glad we finally had a chance to have this time together.
Thank
I
you.
do need to tell you, you talked about Sister Doriel, because I do want to ask for prayer for this. Some of you probably know that when I came into this role, I was already in the middle of working through a PhD program, working on my PhD in sacred rhetoric and African American preaching in sacred rhetoric. And the last year of my tenure, well, the second year of my tenure, I took a leave of absence because I just had too much to juggle. But I'm happy to report that I have passed my comprehensive exams. I passed my oral exam, and I'm about to submit my dissertation proposal. So I need you all to pray
Yes,
that I can
yes.
cross this finish line, because it's long overdue.
Oh my goodness. Okay, now for real, all the work that you've done in the past 3 years, shame on the people who would question your commitment to this work, okay? Shame on them.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to God to have that behind me. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So wait, might this happen prior to your 30-year anniversary in March?
No, it probably. I'm aiming to try to finish by 2026.
Okay.
2025 might be a little ambitious. Well, for certain to March by 2026. I know I can't March by 2025 because that's in May. So that's a little too close. But
Okay.
I'm gonna work really hard to try to at least be done writing by the end of the year.
Yeah, so of course we have to put this up because we need all the pats on the back, right? Congratulations, right? We got this little hand clap. Got some
Yeah, I
congratulations.
appreciate it.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So,
As they
folks,
say.
this is the day that we have been waiting for to close up. I think it's the best way to end our Thanksgivings and testimony series. So I
Yes.
definitely want you to look forward to what is going to happen in 2025. If anyone has any suggestions, definitely DM us at Lott Carey Wise at gmail.com. We have some really great things coming up. We are going to take a look back. I know you probably can't see it, but there we go. at this work, which will be I guess refurbishing, not the journal, I can't speak to that, but definitely the conversations and the people who will be on the digital couch right here will be
Right.
representative of a reflection on the 125 years of the Women's Auxiliary, which is now Lott Carey Women in Service Everywhere, as well as the voices of women from the past and the present who are, of course, doing the work, but some people who you may not necessarily have thought of that will be on the digital couch. So please share. Please stay tuned. And I will say this now, January 1st, 2025 at 6:30 in the morning, we will have our monthly prayer call. So if you have just left church for a midnight service, for watch night, please set your alarms and come on in because we will be okay. We will be here doing a whole new year with a whole new theme. And we are blessed and honored to have, again, our recent immediate past president, Dr. Gina Stewart, to grace our digital couch to close up this year. And we're looking forward to greater and better in 2025. Dr. Stewart, your last word?
My last words would be, one, to mark your calendars for the spring conference.
Yes.
It's going to be in Columbus this year, I believe, Columbus, Ohio. Unfortunately, I don't have those exact dates, but I'm pretty sure if they haven't been published yet, they will be published soon. And then, of course, we know that the convention is always in August, and it's going to be in Philadelphia. And if you've been inspired to give tonight, as we have talked about how, I won't say how little, but that it doesn't take a whole lot to be a blessing, to invest in Lott Carey. You can always go to the Lott Carey website, lottcarey.org, to make your donation or make your gift, and change somebody's life, make a difference in some student's life, give them hope, and open the door to a brighter future. And even if you can't do it by yourself, maybe you want to get a giving circle together and make that kind of contribution. Thank you again, Sister Doriel. I'm glad. Thank you for your patience. And again, thank you, Dr. Angelita Clifton. I have to thank Dr. Clifton because throughout my tenure, Dr. Clifton was always so very supportive and so encouraging. And she really worked hard as the leader of Women in Service Everywhere. And Dr. McBurrow, God bless you as you step into this role. I know that you're going to take this women's ministry, this division to the next level, and the work that has already begun, God's going to continue to complete it. So, and thanks to all of you who have joined us tonight. It's good to see you in the chat. And thank you for your encouraging words, your thoughts, and your prayers.
All right. So,
and your support.
That's right. So until we see you again, God bless you all and have a wonderful holy day season. And we'll see you on this platform in 2025. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night. God bless.